We're back. The number to call in to the Artie Lange Show, 888-936-8822. We're talking to W. Kamau Bell, host of Totally Biased. And we were talking a little bit about the N-word. This was a subject on your show.
Yeah, well, it's going to be on Thursday.
It's going to be on Thursday. And we talked a little bit about Tarantino movies and his sort of, freedom with that word. And during the commercial, we brought up how there's that one point in Pulp Fiction that even I, as a white guy, went, whoa, where Tarantino's character, if you can call it that, decides to use it. And in a real sort of nonchalant but brutal way, like Phil Lamar is the kid who gets his head blown off in the back seat.
One of the greatest lines in the history of cinema. Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face. I shot Marvin.
And Marvin is played by a guy that I was on Mad TV with for 2 years. One of the best. Oh my God, one of the most
does a lot of voiceover.
Brilliant actors. Yeah, Yale guy, brilliant comedic actors. And he's dead. He's decapitated. And Tarantino goes, when they pull into his driveway, he says, "Does it say dead N-word storage guy?"
Yes, which was offensive, like I said, for two reasons: the word and the acting.
Yeah,
there's a combo pack of offensive. And if you as a white guy were offended, now imagine my mom sitting in the theater.
No, I know. I mean, but like when you see that on a piece of paper, you go, and you're a white guy, like, how am I pulling this off at the read-through?
But I feel like that's part of his thing. He was like, he knew he cast Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel
L. Jackson is one of the baddest actors on the planet.
God, yeah,
and probably one of the baddest black men on the planet.
Right.
He's like, I get to say the N-word in front of him.
Yeah. Right. In a way, yeah. It's like Woody Allen cast himself getting laid in a movie.
Yeah.
It's like, you get to look cool. But it is an interesting subject where people forget the brutality of what that word sounds like. I do it in my stand-up act. I do a bit where I go, I really saw a midget one time. A midget, I said, calling a little person a midget is the same thing as calling a black guy the N-word. And in the stand-up bit, I say, I thought that was interesting, so I went out and I tried both things. Just to see if there was, I found a random little person, and I said, hey, midget. Found a random black guy, and I said, hey, N-word. And I say, hey, guys, listen, there's a huge difference. One will get you smacked in the shin.
Yes.
And the other one will get the crap kicked out.
Yes.
So the lesson is never ever call a black man the N-word, unless they're a midget.
Yeah, the N-word's one of those funny slurs that you can just add that to other words and invent new slurs.
Oh no, it's that strong.
It's the Lego building block of slurs.
No, it's that strong because
Chris
the
is suspiciously quiet throughout this episode.
Well, he's a sports guy. He doesn't want to get fired.
I'm looking for my opportunity to slide in gracefully.
Can we talk about the Packers secondary?
Yeah, so I see you like the Chicago Bulls here in the script. Is that what's up with that?
No, I just think that even midgets, and God bless midgets, I don't want to offend them either. And that's a bad word. And even as an Italian, guinea's a horrible word, but not the N-word. That's a league of its own. That gets in the Racism Hall of Fame. That gets its own wing.
It gets a wing. You get to walk around and go, man, this is huge.
Right.
All the people that have said it, all the ways that they have said it.
Right. Every conversation gets stopped with that.
Yeah.
Well, we had people rank a bunch of offensive words on the street to see where that.
That's a great idea.
And we had potato in there. Just to have a control group, cause one guy ranked that at 4. Which
he
is
did?
Yeah. With a lot of words, a whole bunch of words I can't say.
Well, see, isn't it fun to do a show like that? So you like FX, I guess, because they're giving you a lot of leeway, right?
FX is I've only worked with them, but they get all the credit you hear about them. They're total creative. They don't get no control. They just let you do what
That's
you do.
amazing because, every show I've been involved with the exception of the Howard Stern show, because it was so successful, they just stayed away from you.
Yeah.
They mess with you. With Stern, it makes sense. The show's so successful because Howard knows what he's doing. So why not a guy like you that someone like Chris Rock, endorses?
Yeah.
Why not from the beginning, even though you're not real famous yet?
Let's
give it a shot. Like, why not just let him do his thing?
I think I think they let the people who have their shows make their mistakes, and if they trust them, they figure you'll work it out. So,
right.
They're letting me work it out, and it's crazy. Like I said, could be a cautionary tale, but we got 13 more episodes.
No, but at least
if we get through these 13, I feel like we're doing.
A cautionary tale, schmortionary tale. Go down swinging, man.
Yes,
that's what you got to do. Go down swinging, because
you're basically subletting an apartment right now in New York City, right?
Half of an apartment.
Oh, you picked up the episode, 13 more episodes. Oh, sweet, 6 more months.
Showbiz, man.
6 more months.
But that's the thing. Go down swinging at least, because I got to tell you this: executive executives might not respect that, but the Chris Rocks of the world, they will.
Yeah.
And they're always going to have power, so they'll keep you. They'll keep you working because that's what a comedian wants to see. Like at least look, you gave it a shot, man. You
And
know?
if that doesn't work with Chris, can I still open for you in St. Louis?
Yeah,
someday?
dude, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Unless my demons take over, fine. You're always welcome. You're always welcome.
Then you can
out there.
headline.
Yes.
Now, have they come to you yet with the movie thing? Like, of course, that's the next thing.
No, I mean, I think I'm still sort of so under the radar that, like, I mean, I just have popped up in weird places. But I mean, my manager told me that Tyler Perry wanted me to be in a movie, and I was like, no, he doesn't.
It's nice of him to say that to you.
Yeah.
Listen, I got a phone call. Tyler Perry.
Yeah, I was like, no, that's not true. You misheard that. So that's the closest thing I've come to. And I did get nominated for an NAACP Image Award, which I think they nominate if you're a black guy on TV. and nobody got hurt.
I don't want to burst your bubble. I got nominated for one.
See, that's what. Yeah.
No, but
for being cool with black people.
You're doing the right thing. Don't overextend yourself because make the one thing you're doing now that you know is on the air great. Just make this great, and then the other stuff will come. Mitch Hedberg, the great comic. Do you know who Mitch Hedberg is, Chris?
No.
See, that's why you're not in this conversation.
Yep.
No, he was a great comic who died of a heroin overdose about 8 years ago now. And
That's a weird laugh over.
well, he was, unfortunately one of the most brilliant guys ever.
Yeah.
And great joke writer. And he would say, show business is weird. I had this great thing I could do. I could do stand-up comedy. I could write jokes and perform stand-up comedy. But showbiz comes to you and goes, great, well, now let's do a movie. I'm like, well, he's like, well, I don't know how to do that. You saw me do 20 minutes at the Funny Bone in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I can write Annie Hall.
He said it's like being a chef. Great. Can you farm?
Yeah, right, exactly. Was that his joke?
Yeah,
was his joke. Right. Yeah. So you got to be careful. Just concentrate on what.
Well, I came out to. Normally, I'd be at home right now, like resting up, but I wanted to come out and do the show, man.
I'm glad. I'm glad you did. I respect that. So
And when I'm done watching Saved by the Bell, I swear to God, I'm going to watch that show. I mean, I'm seriously, I'm right there.
That DVR is loaded up with
I'm
Saved by the
telling you,
Bell.
90210 reruns, and then this.
Yes.
Totally biased.
Yes.
Hey, what is your time slot? What is your time?
11 o'clock.
So you got a good time slot where they let
Yeah.
you be edgy and stuff. And what night is it?
Thursday, starting this Thursday, January 17th.
Now, how many of the 13 are done?
No, we've done 13.
You've done
with
13
more.
13
we
more.
have 6, and then we break, and then we do 7 more starting in the summer.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to do an episode about?
I mean, it's 1 week to do an episode, but then we tape in about an hour.
Okay.
20
Wow.
minutes. Yeah.
And you got the live audience and everything.
We got
that
the live
helps and
audience.
everything.
Yeah.
I
We
saw a
tend
clip.
we tend to overstuff it with stuff, so we.
I saw a clip where you're killing, and is that what you do? You overstuff it and then you edit it down, or what? You know?
Yeah. Chris is big on that. He's
Big.
big on.
Yeah, which is how he did a lot of the. I know a lot of my really great friends wrote for Chris's HBO show, and they said that's how he worked. Like
Yeah.
but
Chuck Sklar is a showrunner on the show.
Tell Chuck I said
will.
He's one of my favorite guys. So how many writers you have?
We got about 8 writers.
And Chuck is one of them.
Yeah, Chuck is
You
one
can't
of
go
them.
wrong with that.
No, Chuck's great.
Who are the other guys? Maybe I know some of them.
Let's see. Ethan Berlin, Kevin Kataoka,
Right.
Ned Goldreyer, a bunch of guys from San Francisco who you probably. Kevin
But that's
Avery.
great though. So you got some hometown guys that you like.
yeah.
and,
This is like one of those inside conversations where if I wasn't sitting on this desk, I'd be doing shots right now. It's like, all right, well, screw it.
Yeah,
See you later.
Get up and walk to the other table.
let me know when you
No,
need me
but
again.
actually, I like hearing stuff like this because FX really does seem like they do it the right way. Because I did an episode of Louis C.K. show, who wrote for Chris, and he wrote a great part for me on his show, and I got to see him do Louis C.K. I got to see him do his show.
Right.
Literally, the work ethic.
Yes.
They're letting him do it, and he's doing it. Like my work ethic is like, quite frankly, I barely made it here tonight. But nah, everything will be fine. But he holds the camera, Louis.
Yes, yeah.
Like he writes it. If he's not in the scene, sometimes when he's in the scene, it seems like he's holding the camera.
No, that's what they said. The Louis deal. You have to have all those skills to get the Louis deal. Like you have to be able to edit and direct.
I know.
And
In a way, working for a decade with Howard Stern, he worked his own board, which any guy will tell you is odd in radio, where he's working the board, doing the sound effects with Freddie and everything, and I guess that's how the greats are. But you got to know how to do all those things.
Yeah.
I don't. But do you know that part of the business too?
I mean, no. I mean, luckily I'm surrounded by a lot of people, but I mean, being an executive producer of your own show, you have to put your head in every office.
Yeah.
And you got to sit down. In the first 6 episodes, I think I was really sort of just amazed by the whole process, but now I'm really like going into every office.
Yeah, you
Like,
got to make sure.
how does this work?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes people say, that's not how it's done. And you go, I guess it's not how it's done. Now I'm like, well, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it this way.
Check in with some of the middle-aged white guys in some of those offices.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Like,
think those
what's
takes
up-
all
what's up
day.
with you guys?
Yeah, what are you guys doing? Do you still do the road a lot?
I did the road in December. I did like 7 dates on the road. But it's hard to. I'm doing stand up in New York, but I'm really focusing on just staying in.
Now,
town
what do you
doing
do? The
shit.
cellar and stuff, and
You know what? I just went to the cellar for the first time the other night.
Okay.
And a bunch of the woman who runs the cellar, whose name she came
Oh,
by.
Esty.
Esty.
Of course,
Esty.
great. Esty's a legend.
She came by and saw the taping of the show and said I could come by the cellar, and it's just really like I'm so. This season of the show, I'm gonna go out and do some things.
Here's another reason it's good to stay in New York City, more so than L.A. You just mentioned someone like Esty or Caroline Hirsch at Caroline's. They really, even on the level of the clubs. Now, Esty runs this comedy cellar in New York City. It's in the heart of the village, seats about 110 people. It's
ridiculous.
But she makes you be good. You can't get anybody can't walk in and get a spot there. You have to go. It took me like 5-6 auditions, and she gives you notes that are all good. And when you go in there, you'll see Chris Rock.
Yes.
Might not only be doing a set, but might be watching yours. Or Seinfeld does, the cellar.
Yeah. That's why I'm a little bit afraid to go by. It'd be weird to not pass at the cellar and have a TV show.
Well, that could happen.
I know it could.
Yeah.
And I would respect the decision. It just feels like it'd be a little bit like.
At some point, you got to go, yeah, wow, maybe I'm not as good as this guy who's got a 10:20 p.m. spot on Tuesday.
I know how it works. Stand up is like athletics. You have to be in the game and be strong at it.
Right.
You can't let yourself get flabby.
So you were saying this show reacts to the news, right? Is
Yeah.
that
Right.
basically what it is.
Yeah.
So does this Lance Armstrong stuff, does that cross your radar at all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what about that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It's
you got a show on Thursday, so that's what's you gonna say about that?
Would you cover that?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I mean, we were talking about today. Anything
That
that we're
transcends
talking
it.
about,
Yeah,
that covers all.
That
That's
covers
all
it's
encompassing.
It's sports. It's news. It's Oprah.
Yeah.
You know?
Gotta go to Oprah.
You gotta go to
why
Oprah.
wouldn't you go to Oprah?
I mean,
that's where the
And if
hard-hitting
Oprah
interview
forgives
takes
him, he's forgiven. You know. That's
Yeah,
how it works,
Oprah
right?
seemed like even like that.
Oprah's the America's
place.
Pope.
He's in the book club. If he's
Yeah.
he's on there,
Well,
he's
like
good
that
to
guy-
go.
that
He
guy-
gets a car.
Yeah.
That guy James Fry who wrote A Million Little Pieces.
Yeah.
Look, she endorsed the book. Turns out the book was not all true. Some of it
Yes.
true, but she forgave him, so everything was fine.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: at least give the guy credit. So it was a great novel.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
guy made up a great story. It wasn't true, but did you hear about this?
yeah, oh,
You
yeah,
don't
you know.
hurt Oprah's feelings.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what he got yelled at
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
And there's FBI tape of John Gotti. The FBI has him on tape talking about killing a guy.
Right.
And he goes to his number 2 guy at the time. He goes, you know why he's going to die? He's going to die because he didn't come when I called him. Okay? That's what Oprah sounds like.
Oprah-
Oprah
yes,
sounds
yes.
like the James Fry thing. You know what?
Yeah.
He disrespected me.
It's just
That's
Oprah's got a
enough.
non-disclosure agreement, so
Right.
we never hear those phone calls.
This is going to blow up in Lance Armstrong's face.
Well,
though.
Lance
This is
Armstrong-
going to blow up. He's going to have to do another interview after this because she's not going to ask him.
Who do you go to after Oprah?
60
though?
minutes. Go
Right.
on, sit on 60 Minutes and get a real interview done there. Don't be like, Lance, how did you feel shooting that into your butt right there? I mean, what?
Did you remember your spirit while you were
Did
shooting into your
remember?
butt?
It's like,
Look under your chair, Oprah.
Come
You get
on.
a syringe. You get a syringe.
I know.
who
it
wants
is,
a car?
But it makes you realize that Barbara Walters was nothing.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is like.
What she did with Marion Jones, though, was embarrassing. That
Yeah.
interview was embarrassing. And I hope she does better this time around.
Right.
She's
I
got to
mean,
come harder this time
I don't think she
around.
cares.
I don't think she's not a journalist.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. She doesn't because she's asking what kind of
If you're
tree
Lance,
you'd
if
want to
you're
be.
Lance Armstrong, though, isn't that counterproductive? Doing that, like doing a softball interview, which nobody's going to really understand, and everybody's going to insist you do another real one after the fact, have a press conference.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know what counterproductive means.